music mode first, everybody else last today. And we got that shit quick. You got that shit way before the rest of you did. Fantastic. Hello, folks. Hello, bastards. I'm gonna have my morning coffee with you idiots today. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being so mean. I called you bastards and idiots in less than a minute. Idiot bastards. You just watching an old stream, eh? Now you're watching a new stream. That's an upgrade. Because whatever I said in that old stream, I don't believe anymore. Today's a new day, and I am a new man. New opinions, fresh out the kitchen. Yep. Redesigned from the ground up with brand new opinions. If I may but have one strand from your golden head, you can't have my strands. You can't afford a strand of mine golden hair, Samwise Gamgee. Doesn't she not give him a strand? Can't remember how that goes down. He asks for the strand. Is that what she does? Does she end up giving him the strand? I think she does, maybe. He never does anything with it, though. Oh, simping Sam. Oh, Sam the simp. Wonder how Rosie feels about him carrying around the strand of an elf's hair all the time. Oh, Rosie's just a beard anyway. We know that. She probably knows that. Oh. She's probably aware. Have you seen Hamilton? I have not. I have not seen Hamilton. YouTube's just gonna fucking play around and not send out all them fucking notices today. YouTube's just gonna fuddy-duddy around. So that's the way it goes.
You know, we're just gonna have to work extra hard to keep Paul's attention then.
Mm-hmm. I can just hum stupid tunes for an hour. play with Dynor, play fetch with Dynor for an hour, and then just turn off the stream. It's got to be therapeutic to somebody somewhere. Where's your bow? You get your bow? Bring me your bow. I want to fetch. I want to fetch that bow. Bring that bow. Oh, you make me reach for it. Too fat. Get it. King Cholesterol. Fuck you. I don't like that nickname. That's banned. Everybody calls me King Cholesterol is banned. True as it may be. Just watched Vivarium last night. Dope movie. That was an interesting movie. I don't know if I ever want to watch it again. But it definitely, like, stuck in the mind pretty well. Some movies are one-time watches. I think that's one of them. Started to feel too real towards the end. Thoughts on Elijah Muhammad? Isn't that Malcolm X's Muslim name? Or am I wrong about that? I put 2 of Paul's talks from 2020 labor, if you guys want to go grab them for yourselves. They're up on my channel. Yeah, there you go. There you go. About to take your little brothers to their first black metal show. Oh boy. Oh boy. I want to get into Warhammer. Where should I start? I mean, that depends on what aspect of Warhammer you're interested in, honestly. Like, the fun thing about Warhammer to me is that there's just reams and reams of, like, books that take place in the setting. And if you're looking to get into, like, reading about Warhammer, then there's a number of books. I would go with the Eisenhorn series. I think the first one is called Eisenhorn Xenos. That's the first Warhammer book that I read, and it's still my favorite. I've read quite a few of them now, but Eisenhorn was my favorite. I think it's definitely I think it's good at, like, introducing the 40K setting without being, like, overbearing with information, just, like, visually. All 3 of the Eisenhorn books are great. There's Xenos, Hereticus, and Malleus, I think. That might be out of order. I think it's Xenos, Malleus, Hereticus. All of those are good. They're kind of like spy novels, I guess. Eisenhorn is an inquisitor of the Imperium, empowered to hunt down heretics and alien influence and demonic influence. And so you get to visit a lot of different settings in the Eisenhorn novel that are pretty evocative. If you're not really looking to get into reading, then I recommend you find a video on YouTube. There's a couple of them that are really good that covers all of the factions of Warhammer. That's another way that I kind of got into it, was listening to people just describe the different armies in Warhammer. I would say those are probably the 2 best ways. And if you really like that, if you really like either of those, then there's some great channels that do tabletop playthroughs of games. My favorite one to watch is the channel's called Play on Tabletop, I think, and they do Warhammer 40k in 40 minutes. The kind of like long form 40k matches can be tough to get into. They can be over 2 hours long, sometimes like close to 3 hours long. But 40k in 40 minutes just like cuts it down to the moves and the bare bones, and their production's really good. And you'll get a feel for how the game is played and how some of the different armies look on the table and stuff. That's probably your best bet. Yeah, I'll watch Better Call Saul like a couple of years from now. I get the bad taste of that totally unwatchable piece of shit Breaking Bad out of my mouth. Oh, I liked Breaking Bad. It was fun. I like Jesse Pinkman. Poor Jesse got it worse than anybody in that show. He was just gaslit to death, basically. Gaslit all the way into slavery by Walt. Mm-hmm. Who do you think is better, Michael Jackson or the Beatles? I was listening to Thriller last night on repeat. I mean, I think a lot of that is just going to have to do with, like, personal preference and probably nostalgia. But for me, like, I grew up in the era of Michael Jackson, and I still believe to this day that there will never be a celebrity on that level ever again. We've talked about this before, but celebrity was just different back in the day. Like nowadays, it's a lot easier for a person to garner a wide audience and gain the moniker celebrity. And so the pool is diluted. But Michael Jackson was a household name worldwide without the internet, just based on his music.
I was actually flying the day that he died, and like everyone was tuned into the news coverage on that plane.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was a total cultural icon, like the likes of which, like I said, I don't think we'll ever have again. I don't think as high as anybody's star rises, I don't think that there's ever going to be a more ubiquitously beloved celebrity than Michael Jackson. Like, even with all of the controversy and drama and shit, he, you know, ultimately, I don't think any of that ever mattered when it came to the power of his celebrity. The Beatles are definitely up there on the list for sure. But,
They're filthy Brits.
yeah. Dirty, dirty Brits. I mean, eventually, I believe most of them did the right thing and immigrated to the U.S. But they were born over there, you know. That's a mark against them.
Since TJ was Santa last Onion Nuggets, I think you should do a Brit character on one of the next ones.
I don't think I got the fucking stamina.
Well, he quit eventually.
He did, eventually. He held on way longer than we thought, though. Britain is the best. No, sir.
I saw a joke the other day, like the quality of British food is why they had the best sailors.
Good point. Got to get out of there and find some real food. I think the only like distinctly British Isles food that I will ever enjoy is shepherd's pie, but not with lamb. What do they call it when you make it with beef? There's a different name. There's shepherd's pie if it's lamb, and then it's something else, some other kind of pie when it's beef. I'll take the beef one.
Yeah.
It's hard to mess that one up. It's just like meat with good gravy and then mashed potatoes baked on top.
Mm-hmm. Do it in the slow cooker, super easy. I just haven't done it in forever.
Yeah. Cottage pie. That's right. That's right. That's the way you say it. So cottage pie is the shit. Do you like tea as well?
Mm-hmm. But not herbal tea, not black tea, which is different.
Yeah,
herbal tea isn't the same, doesn't have the same status in Britain, I don't think.
I don't drink Earl Grey or chai.
I'll tell you what, I got a box of Earl Grey and I made it one time, and the fucking caffeine bomb was insane. I was not prepared.
No, Earl Grey is up there. Matcha has tons of caffeine too. Yeah. I don't like caffeinated teas. Tea for me is something you sip to chill out, not to like amp yourself up. I do have coffee for the buzz if I need it.
And coffee is more balanced too.
Yeah. Yeah, if I just have like one cup of coffee or maybe two, I feel okay. If I had 2 cups of Earl Grey, I'd be fucking bouncing off the walls. Boing, boing. They milk up their tea over there. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me either. I'm fine, put a little cream in the coffee every once in a while, but tea with cream, no thanks.
We dumped that tea over the harbor. Yeah.
Top restaurants in London are French and Italian. That's embarrassing. I mean, not to like, you know, take the side of the Brits, but it's tough to compete with French and Italian cooking no matter where you're at. They know their shit.
Yeah, isn't like Gordon Ramsay basically fully immigrated over here?
I imagine so.
Or at the very least has dual citizenship.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I might be wrong about that, but I'm hooked on cappuccinos. I never liked cappuccinos. I'm not a big fan of like foam, and cappuccinos are mostly foam. That was something I always loved. Like cappuccinos are pretty rarely ordered, honestly, at like Starbucks. Starbucks makes them, but every time I would make a cappuccino, I would make a bet in my own head. I'd be like, is this person going to bring this back and say that they wanted a latte, basically? Mm-hmm. Where's all the milk? Because when you make a cappuccino properly, that cup is light because it's nothing but milk foam and a couple shots of espresso. And so I would watch their faces as soon as they picked it up. It was just like, oh, you're just a person that's heard the word cappuccino on the movies and have no clue what you're getting. Got it. Let me make you a latte.
Can you fix it to be a latte, or you have to no?
Nope. I mean, I guess technically you could, but it would be, you know, I don't know. I had standards.
Yeah. Oh, you want to do the ball again? Not lava. Not lava.
I actually got to the point where I would like question the person. They'd be like, I want a cappuccino. I'd be like, all right, you realize that's like 2/3 milk foam, 1/3 milk, a little bit of liquid milk with espresso, very light in terms of weight. No, I just want the coffee with milk. Okay, you want a latte. Another one that we get ordered all the time and people had no fucking clue what it was espresso. It's another word that they would just hear. Oh, give me an espresso. Be like, you realize that's just 2 shot glasses of coffee, right, in a little cup. No, I want the one with milk and caramel. Let me get that for you.
Which one would you say is superior, like drip coffee or Americanos?
I mean, I prefer drip coffee, but I was never a big fan of Americanos. Americanos are just taking concentrated espresso and using hot water to turn it into a cup of coffee. It tastes pretty good, but I'd rather just have drip coffee.
Plus, you're probably paying like $2 more for the Americano, huh?
Yep. The word frappuccino didn't catch on for a long time either. People would come in and, let me get a caramel macchiato. You'd make it. They'd be like, I wanted the blended one. It's like, that's over here. That's a frappuccino. Oh. Do you enjoy French press coffee? That's basically the only way I drink it anymore. I mean, it's good. I'm fine with it, but
Too much effort.
I mean, it's a little pretentious for me.
Yeah.
It's good if you're like doing like a coffee tasting. If you're trying to if you're doing a side by side, you've got some like South American beans and some Indonesian beans, and you're trying to see the qualitative difference between them, taste the different flavors and stuff. French press is pretty much the best way to go. It allows more of those like flavored oils to get through, but if you're just having a cup of Joe, it's fine. I have had Turkish coffee, yes. That was when I was studying to be a coffee master at Starbucks. They would have us make Turkish coffee for tastings, and it's good, but a little annoying keeping the grounds out of the way and out of your mouth. Yeah, I've had civet coffee before. That's the cat turd coffee. It's pretty good, but no better than any other coffee, so I'll take the one that wasn't pooped out of something's butt, thanks.
I keep getting ads on Facebook for like an espresso maker that's like literally like the quality of like the big machines at Starbucks. It's like $800.
Yeah. Is all gas station coffee trash, or is it like disgusting compared to Starbucks? I mean, it depends. Like, to me, the big difference between cheaper coffee places and Starbucks is the like genus of the bean. There's Arabica beans, and then there's Robusta beans. Robusta beans are typically like Folgers makes their beans with Robusta beans. They tend to be less uniquely flavorful than Arabica beans are.
They got lower caffeine content too, don't they? Yeah.
So that's the real difference. Like, a lot of times you're just getting like kind of Folgers-y pre-ground, freeze-dried coffee, which I'm fine with, honestly. I'm not a snob about it. That's what I'm drinking now. Like, I don't really care enough to go through the whole get your beans and grind them yourself. And if you go down to Starbucks and get a pound of beans and have them grind it for you, you better drink that pound of beans quick. Because once coffee beans are ground, they go stale in about a week. Less if you don't keep them properly.
And weren't we like stuck with a couple bags of Starbucks beans? We didn't have any way to grind them. We're
Yeah.
just carrying them around for a while. It's like, okay, we're never gonna use these.
Yeah, they'll keep for a while if they're whole bean and you keep them in like a cool, dry place, and they're still vacuum packed and stuff. But once you've broken that seal and ground them all up and shit, you're on a timer, so that shit goes stale. Just a pain in the ass. I think people work at Starbucks. It churns out a lot of coffee snobs. I just never caught that bug. Do you ever encounter any obnoxious coffee grounds? I mean, I've had people. It's like anything else with Starbucks. Like people at the beginning, I don't think it's really looked at that way now, but at the very beginning, Starbucks was looked at as like this. Oh, it's a cultural place that you go where you're getting like Italian style coffee, and so just like with the drinks that I was talking about earlier, people would come in with this preconceived notion of what they were supposed to get when it came to coffee beans. And they would ask for an espresso grind, which is a really super fine grind. If you put it in a coffee maker, you're going to get sludge, basically, because it's small enough to emulsify down through your average paper filter. And so I would get that a lot. A lot of people coming in, and you ask them, how do you want this ground? Yeah, espresso. And you do that, and they bring it back.
I ruined my coffee maker.
Yeah, man, I don't know what it is, man. I think it's too fine. It's like, it's how you ordered it, sir. Did you ever go off on a customer? Nah, that would have been contrary to my job. I mean, I had to get stern with some customer. See, I don't consider people that come in to like, there's a difference to me between a customer and just a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any time for troublemakers, dude. Like, I would do my best to make the coffee the way that you wanted, and I was good at it. And so that's the problem with it, is I knew I was good at it. I knew the recipes like the back of my ass. I could make coffee in my sleep. And so when there was somebody that was just never going to be happy with their shit, I'd make your coffee once or twice for you, and then after that, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, you're ordering something that I've made for you now twice, and is there something else I can do for you? Because if not, I think this is it. Kick out loud people, kick out angry, cussy people and stuff, but I never like went off on a customer.
No chair throwing.
No, I never had anybody get directly violent. I had people that acted like they were going to be all brawlic or whatever, but had the bad customer here and there. You have more patience than me. Well, I mean, I was being paid for my patience, That's one of the things they pay you for when you're doing customer service is you got to suck up a certain amount of abuse. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's part of the job.
I mean, you also, used to be paid better,
versus other jobs in that same category, yeah. Especially if you considered benefits and with the pay package. Like, my pay wasn't super high versus other things, at least at the start, but I had regular pay increases on top of, after 6 months I got the health insurance, and after a year I started getting granted the stock. You can't, I think I don't know if they still do all that, to be honest with you, but back in the day you really couldn't compete with that anywhere else. Anyone talk to you like you're mentally handicapped? Happened to me. Oh yeah. There are people that like they've had what they consider to be a bad experience at a Starbucks before, and so they come in like with a chip on their shoulder already, and they want to baby talk you through their drink like you're stupid. Like stuff like that. You quickly learn, and it's a good life skill too. I think I'm glad I learned it. It's 99.9% of your time not worth your time to be confrontational with a person like that. And in fact, oftentimes that's what they're looking for. Like I really learned to read those types of people. People that are just out like they're having a bad fucking day, week, year, month, or life, you know. And one of the ways they let steam off is that they try and push people in the service industry and into arguments and shit. And it's really a cowardly tactic, because as the customer in a corporate environment, you've got so much fucking leverage over the people. And if they start reacting like you are, like if you escalate to the level that they're at, you're in the wrong always, at least in their minds, you know. So it's a good way for a person that feels like they got very little influence or control over their day to day to exert that. And it's way better to just kill them with kindness. My mom used to say that to me when I was a kid, and I'm telling you, that held me in good stead while I worked for that company. You'd actually see them get madder. Like, I think oftentimes, like, you know, giving them what they want, there was a sense of relief. If you just continue smiling at them and politely, you know, dealing with them, it's like, man, I'm not going to get it here today, I guess. Some are very determined, and those people are the ones that got, you know, get out. Get out of the store. It's funny, too, because, like, when one of those, it was rare. Like, I'm not, you know, I did work there for a long time, so I did it to quite a few customers, like, asked them to leave. But one of the funnest parts of that is when they look around for allies and find that they have none. Like, those people think that they're heroes. It's the strangest thing, man. You'll be arguing with a person, and they'll escalate, and it'll start to get loud. And yeah, I mean, to me, the ultimate cutoff was name calling and shit. You start calling people idiots or morons or whatever the fuck. Like, we're not here to be insulted by you. Get out. Leave the store and don't come back. You're not wanted here. And the first thing that they would do every time was, like, look around at the full ass store of people waiting behind them just to get their coffee and get out of there, for people that are like, yeah, man, you tell him. And they would just find, like, annoyed faces, like, come on, dude. I've got to fucking be at work in 20 minutes here, and the fucking traffic is awful. You get out so I can get my coffee. It's like that slow dawning of the realization that they're the bad guy. That's the fun part, but you got to be sparing with that shit, because Starbucks is not gonna, any company is not gonna take your back unless the person's being genuinely, like, verbally abusive to you and the customers around you. But that's the one thing I never took off anybody. To be honest with you, because I'm like a big burly guy with a deeper voice, I didn't get that very often. But Starbucks hired a lot of, you know, young college age ladies, and there are people that just, like, dude, if I overheard that shit, I'd just walk over and be like, you don't get to talk to us that way. Grab their drink off the thing, get out, go, oh, refund, you're not getting one. Get out and don't ever come back.
Did you have like a list on the wall of like no-go customers?
No. I remembered them. And to be honest with you, I let most of them come back. Most of them would leave, like, once you've kicked them out, they'll leave for a few weeks and they come back and try and, you know, they're always meek when they come back. Like, they never come back swinging the big dick energy around anymore. And so it's like, problem solved. I'll let you think I don't know that you're the guy I kicked out of here 6 weeks ago, as long as you stay quiet and just pay your money and get the fuck out. There were only a few people that I had on my internal list, and everybody knew them by face, by name, by order. Just the way it works. Convinced some customers sometimes ask for the impossible. I work in a high-end restaurant, and I've had people ask for no salt, peppers, or seasoning on food that was already cured and prepped. Oh, yeah. That's definitely true. I mean, especially at a place like Starbucks, it's all about, like, we'll make you basically whatever you want. As long as you know how to order what it is that you want, we'll make it. And so there are people that figure out the most complex bullshitty thing, and then it's never right or whatever. Those customers got to be dealt with. Like, I remember there was a dude that would ask for ristretto, which is like a weird. It's like you're supposed like a normal shot of espresso is supposed to be pulled for between 18 and 22 seconds. And if it's over that, it's cooked, and if it's under that, it's weak. Ristretto is asking for it weak. And so this dude would order like just a big long list of shit. I think it was like a 6-shot Americano with heavy cream and ristretto shots at 16 seconds or whatever. And I'd make it for them once. Oh, I asked for ristretto. And I'd be like, stand right here. Hook up another pod, put it in, and I'd count out loud. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, all the way to 16, and I'd hit stop. I'd have them watch me do the whole thing. There you go. That's one way to disarm it. I used to work at a McDonald's with mostly older Hispanic women, and I would see customers be blatantly racist to them all the time. Oh shit, no. Yeah, no. I mean, that's just something I'm never gonna put up with. No kind of like personal insults or pejorative or any kind of racism, no matter how covert it was, ever got past me. If I overheard it, you paid for nothing today. I'm getting your ass out of my fucking store. Had to kick like loud, drunk teenagers out sometimes. You know, stupid teens. I was fine with them hanging out and chilling, but sometimes they'd come in and just like, dude, they were like they were talking to each other at opposite ends of a fucking soccer field in the rain. It's just like they're fucking up the whole story. You can't even hear the music anymore. Get out. Do you know what an espresso macchiato is? Yes, espresso macchiato is... Macchiato means marked with foam, so it's just espresso shots poured through milk foam. So very small. My favorite customer is always, I come here every day, and I'm like, that's funny, I work here 5 days a week and I've never seen you. Oh yeah, I love those too. My favorite one was, let me speak to the manager too. I'd be like even before I was acting store manager, like if you're I was a shift supervisor for most of my tenure at Starbucks, and they're the manager. People would ask for your manager's phone number. I'd be like, I'm not at liberty to give you the store manager's phone number. Here's the brochure with the company number on it. You can call that if you want, but I'm not giving you my manager's phone number. I'm the manager today, so you deal with me, or that's it. You shit out of luck. The staff is allowed to eject unruly customers, for sure. Like in casino, I want you to remove him from the building, and I want you to use his head to open the door. Maybe not that. Maybe not that level. Yeah, I would get that a lot, because there were a lot of people that like their first problem solving thing was to go into the register and get one of those free drink coupons and give it to people. And then people would get used to that because they would, they'd be there and they'd have a new barista who didn't know how to handle the interpersonal conflict or whatever the fuck, and they'd just get like a free one every once in a while. Man, you had something really had to be messed up on our side for you to get a freebie from me. It was very rare for me to give just let me get you out of your hair free. That's just, nobody gets shit for free every goddamn time they go into a place. Like, if we fucked up your day, sure. Sorry about that. Here's a freebie. If you're just one of these picky, unpleasable people, you ain't getting no fucking freebie from me. No, sir. No, ma'am. Well, the last time this happened. It's like, this ain't the last time. This is this time. I've been making these drinks for fucking 6 years of my life. And I just made you 3 of them that weren't good enough. So, sorry. You want something that we don't serve. Did you ever have an experience with an employee stealing from a till? Yeah. Yeah, we had a kid at the last Starbucks that I worked at before I quit who was skimming his till. I mean, it gets caught almost immediately. That shit is tracked. Like, each till is individually counted. And then those till numbers are compared against the deposit. And so I did the deposit most days that I was working, especially during the day. I mean, if I was working a day shift, I was the deposit guy. And dude came up 20 short, and then came up 20 short again a couple of weeks later. They didn't let you get many of those, you know what I mean? So he skimmed probably $60 off the company before he got fired. Like, every time your till comes up $20 short, you get a write-up. Like, it's your job to maintain the integrity of that till. When you open the till in the morning, you take it to the back yourself and count it to make sure that there's $200 of mixed change and cash in it. And if there's not, you tell the fucking manager immediately. They can double check it and see the mistake. That was always the big claim, was like, oh, you know what? I did everything perfect. It must have been the till was short. And it's like, you counted it. It was you that counted the till, not me. So if the till was short, should have said something about it. But I didn't have a lot of people thieving didn't have a lot of people thieving cash from the store. There was a pretty implicit black market of shit that went on with employees where you didn't really pay for anything in the store. Like, for me, for 8 years, I stole a newspaper pretty much every day. I'm not trying to pay no fucking like $3.99 for the Sunday New York Times. You fucking kidding me? I'm just grabbing one. Oh yeah. That was one of the craziest customers I had, was the Asian dude that claimed he gave me a 20 when he gave me a 10, and just would not let up. So I went back and I counted the till, and I brought the till to him and showed that it was zeroed out. Like, here's what my till should be, and here's how much money's in it. It was when he started like accusing me of stealing. I was like, all right, you gotta go. You got your change, you've got your drink. You can leave, or I can have you escorted off the property. He was one of the only customers that sat and waited for the cops. But as soon as the cops did show up, he immediately went with them. So what are you gonna do? Do you ever have a day where your whole crew called off on the same day? Maybe not the whole crew, but oh man, that was one of the worst things. And I'm telling you, like, there was like a system of scorn that was in place for people that did that shit, because you really, like, it was one thing if you called in sick the day before. Or, you know, you had an opening shift, and, you know, at 7 o'clock at night you realized, like, I'm not going to be able to make it to work, and you called in, because then there's time for me to give you numbers, you to call and find somebody. But the people that would call in like 20 minutes before their shift and be like, I'm not coming, I would just hang up in their faces a lot of times. Be like, Paul, it's so and so. Like, yeah, what's up, man? You on your way? I'm not feeling too good, man. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it today. I'd be like, whatever. Whatever. And then everybody on that shift is pissed at you, because the day that could have been a normal, easy, simple day is now like everybody's having to pick up your slack. They're having to pick up even more slack, because if it's a really bad call off, I gotta fucking jump off the floor and call people in between orders and shit. It just fucks everything up. So there was like an internal system that policed that. Does a good calzone need any marinara dip? Yes. Yeah, if you've got a calzone, you need to have a little dish of marinara to dip it in. What was the protocol for somebody that was late for a legitimate reason, like car troubles, for instance? Was that a write-up? No. I mean, you wouldn't even get written up for calling off at the last minute. It was how much you did it that mattered. Like, it's one thing for your car to break down. That shit happens, dude. And you know, if an employee was generally a good employee, and you get a call like, dude, I'm fucking off the side of the road here, my car just won't start, it was understood. You know, it was just like, oh man, that sucks, but I understand. You know, try and get it taken care of. Call me if you think you can make it in. I'll find somebody to come in the meantime. You know, there, you could all, like, I developed a taste for it. I could tell when I had a bullshit excuse on my hands. A lot of college kids work there, so there'd be a lot of hangover call-ins. I knew those immediately. You know what I mean? They were just predictable. There's all kinds of little factors that make them predictable. Like, if somebody's calling in on a Sunday, it's because they were up all fucking night, dude. People, you don't get sick on a Sunday. Come on. If it's a Saturday or a Sunday, it's because you fucking partied. And now I've got to have a horrible day where I'm doing two people's jobs all day and still leaving the store filthy for my next fucking shift because you can't handle your shit. I would just tell people to. Like, my rule that I would give people that would do that is, you get one of these from me. Like, I know you're not sick. I'm not stupid. I heard you guys talking yesterday about how after work you were going to go out and get drunk. I know you went out and got drunk last night. Like, I'm not an idiot. You get one of these. So, sober up. Sober up. Use this day to change your habits. Because next time you call this in, it's a write-up. Click. Yeah, you could always tell when uh, a woman was doing a hangover call, because they would always try and use their period. That's a red flag, bro. Anytime a woman would call in and be like, "Oh, I don't think I can make it in. I've got cramps." I'd be like, "Come on, man. At least be straight up with me with this shit." I haven't even drank in 2023 yet. I think I've had maybe one or two drinks in 2023. I was a really good manager. Like, not to pat myself on the back, I was good at it. Like, I knew what was what. I knew how to handle people. I knew how to deal with people in a respectful way and command that respect in return. And that's really what it takes to be a good manager. I was not a hard ass, but I wasn't a soft ass either. You know, I would let people kind of skirt around the rules a little bit as long as everything was done properly. I would let people kind of, I was lenient enough because I realized, hey, you got a life outside of this. But, oh, Butterbutt. Butterbutt, please. Oh, wait, that's not a butterbutt. It's a butterhead. It's got like a little yellow tuft on his head. Ooh. Butterface. Calling in sick to my college union job was much more chill than calling in sick to my fast food jobs. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the place, right? There are a lot of places where, and sometimes calling in sick was no thing. Like, there were always people, not always, but usually there were people available that were constantly like, hey, I want to pick up shifts. I only got 12 hours on the schedule this week. That's not enough, man. So they would put their names back in the back room, you know what I mean, at the manager's desk, like, hey, if you need a shift covered this month, call me because I need hours. And those people, typically were pretty good to their word. Sometimes you'd wake them up. Like, I always kind of felt bad calling people, especially for opening shifts, because I'm calling you at 5:30 in the morning, like before the fucking rush starts. And I would wake them up. But the people that were, good for it, they would be like, oh shit, man, yeah, I'm just getting up. I was up kind of late last night. Let me jump in the shower real quick. Be there in 20 minutes. Like, cool. Thanks. Ever have to fire anybody or have a rough talk? I mean, yeah, for sure. It was never really rough for me. Like, once it got to that point, that's a super easy conversation for me to have, because, like, in my book, if I'm going to report on a person with the attempts to get them fired or have them fired, they've already stepped all over my good graces and everybody else's, And so it's very easy to sit them down and go like, look, dude, like, this is the last time you're calling in like this. You call in again like this, you're fired. Point blank. It's too much. It's the third time in 2 weeks that this has happened. You got to get your shit together. And maybe you don't care. If you don't care, you probably should just quit, because this ain't gonna happen again. If you're direct with most people, it seems like that's really all it takes. A little bit of directness. Be surprised where that gets you in life. Like, most people respect it. There's a lot of pussyfooting around that goes on in the world, That's not a good management technique. You don't pussyfoot as a manager. You say something, you stand on it. People know you're not the type of person to fuck around. And that you engender, like, a sense of, like, because I was, a lot of times I was older than a lot of the people on staff. I'd been with the company for a long time, and that builds up there's a reputation of that. You know what I mean? It's not like they walk around in deference of you, but it's just like, Paul doesn't put up with no shit. Like, Paul's a fair guy, and he'll help you out if you need help, and he's pretty chill. But, if you get out of line, he's just not having it. Because to me, it wasn't even I think that's part of the problem that a lot of managers have, is that they make it a personal thing. And to me, I was more concerned with the other people that worked there. Like, when you called in sick, when you fucked around, when you came in all fucked up or sloppy or whatever, you were messing up everybody there. You were causing everybody to have to work harder. You were making my day worse and everybody else's besides. And so I really managed from that perspective rather than this, like, I'm the boss. It was more like look at how everybody's having to fucking do because you're out here, sick, hungover, or whatever. And that engenders respect. Like, it makes people not want to disappoint you, because they realize it's not just you, it's everybody that's being disappointed and fucked with. And they don't want to, have to deal with people being mad at them as soon as they get to work because they didn't show up. To me, it's pretty simple, but in this day and age, I guess it's not. We live in a we live in a society where directness is very looked down upon. You know, I had a lot of weak managers, like people that were above me that just didn't know how to do their jobs. And when people like that get elevated, you got to wonder, you know, you really got to wonder. Like they were after me to be a store manager from the second year that I was there, and I didn't want it. Like I would just straight out tell them, like, I'm a shift manager. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be the big boss. I don't want to be in control of the whole. I'm fine where I'm at. I'm making enough money where I'm at. I'm not looking to get rich here, you know. So I didn't seek out that level of responsibility, but I took what level of responsibility I had seriously, because if you don't, then you end up with an untenable situation. I'm very frank with people. It's not something that's going to get you a lot of coworker pals. Well, that's the thing. I always liked having a friendly relationship with the people that I work with. It just makes your day better, right? But the instant they start to abuse that friendship is when it disappears, you know. And eventually you get a reputation that precedes you at a place, and people knew if they were on my shift, hey, you know, Paul's a chill guy. As long as our shit gets done and everybody's taken care of, he's happy. But if I fuck around, if I come in and I'm not working, I'm slacking, I'm disappearing on breaks and shit without telling any, whatever it is, like Paul ain't gonna, he's not gonna deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I never wanted to jump in with the manager shit unless it was absolutely necessary. That's absolutely true. It's just like don't overmanage, don't micromanage. If somebody's doing something in the store slightly off standard, but it's getting the same thing done and they're good at it and they're quick at it, there's no need to fucking jump in and correct every little instance like that, you know? It's only when it becomes a problem for the customers or me or everybody else in the store that you jump in and do it. But I had some weak ass managers. A lot of the weakest manager I ever had was this. She was kind of like big, chunky lesbian chick. And like rule number one, if you're going to manage people, is you lead by example. You cannot expect people to act a certain way if you don't act a certain way. And when every time I had a shift where she was on, like we were doing a trade off where there's like 2-3 hours where of, because usually that's how it was, a couple hours of overlap when the store manager comes in and then a shift loop supervisor comes in, they hand over the shift and the manager goes home. Every time I had a shift with her, she would just walk out of the store and go stand in the parking lot where everybody, customers and all, could see her and argue on the phone with her girlfriend. Yep. She would go out in the parking lot and just, you could see her out there yelling and screaming on her phone with her apron on, you know, and this is the store manager. And that was just like, dude, that store was a fucking mess. I had to do everything in my power to just keep my shifts together because people thought like, you know, people see that and implicitly they think, oh, if I've got like, if I'm having a bad day, I can just walk out, have a phone call for 20 minutes. It's like, no, you can't. Not while I'm here, chief. But she would never let anybody else do that. And that's what I'm talking about when I say leading by example. Like if you want people to be on the spot, you want people to be doing their job, be at the station that they're fucking assigned and getting the job done, you got to do it yourself. But I always made it a point when I was on shift to place myself in the point position. I was always running bar. That was the highest skill level job in the place, required the most, you know, consistency. And I would put myself there so that nobody had any excuse. If it was your job to just ring people up and then pull the mats up and mop, you know, at noon, and you're looking at me, and I've been since 5 in the morning with no break. I've been slinging fucking coffee and getting hundreds of customers in and out. You got no excuse not to pull that fucking mat up and mop. No, be on your phone. Don't be whining. Don't be bitching. Don't be complaining. You get it done. There's an aura that happens in a corporate environment like that comes off of the manager. That manager too would also do this shit where she would just like make excuses to like, hey, I'm on shift and I've scheduled myself as a position, but I'm just going to be in the back all day. No. Dude, you got a manager like that, good luck. Good luck getting people to give a fuck. Good luck getting people to fucking respect your time. Well, I've got phone calls to make, and it's just like you realize you're scheduled as like you are supposed to be the third person this morning. So if you're going to the back to be on the phone all day, what are the other two people supposed to do? Just do your job? Okay. Had a manager who would forget to clock out and then would be gone for a day or two. I mean, yeah. You were creating a good work environment, not only to the people on top, but what? Oh, why did that disappear? Why did you retract it, David? It was fine. I was literally understaffed last Thursday. Both managers weren't even there. Yeah, I gotta love it. Gotta love that too. You get to the point too where you can just look at a schedule and just go like, what am I doing on this day? Why on this day do I have only 2 people working from 5:30 opening until noon? Why is my first person coming in? You'd find these things constantly. You could really like gauge like, oh, this is gonna be a fucked up week because the manager didn't care enough to do this fucking schedule right. They've just juggled things around in a way that doesn't make sense. You got to know the people that are working with you. You got to know their proclivities, their strengths, their weaknesses, and shit. And there were just days where it was just like our 3 weakest people were my openers. I'd have one to open with, weakest person. My second weakest person would be my rush person, and then my noon person would be weak as fuck too. And I'd just go like, well, these people are fine if they're sprinkled amongst people who knows what they're doing, but having all 3 of these on a shift, I'm basically going to be doing the whole fucking thing and telling people what to do all day. Try and make the excuse that we don't have enough people, like that's not our problem. Yeah, you're the hiring manager. Like if there's positions to be filled, you need to sit down and do some interviews. There's people that want to work. Hire somebody or shut up. Me, the biggest pet peeve was a manager who would schedule me a double shift back to back with no break. Unfortunately, in my state, that's not illegal. Yeah, that sort of shit would happen too at Starbucks. You'd have the closed then the open. Just like, I'm closing Tuesday night and I'm opening Wednesday. You realize that that's like 8 hours that I get to go home and hopefully snatch a few hours of sleep. Like I'm leaving here wired up on coffee, like everybody does. And I go home and I go to bed and I got to be up at 4 a.m. to open. See, when I was doing the schedule, however briefly it was, that never happened. Your management talent seems to have lent itself well to chat moderation. I don't know about that. I don't look at it the same way at all. I had a manager who would run our shifts like I'm assuming you mean a platoon of soldiers, not a pantaloon. Making big speeches. Oh my God, that's so cringe. Yeah, they're like, okay, we can have a good day today. We are Walmart. It's like, shut up. Let me get to work, man. All this commotion for a fancy coffee. I know. I know, right? I know. Yeah, we're not coworkers. We're a family, guys. So let's get out there and make somebody smile today. Shut up. Leave us alone, man. You know, a lot of people think here at Starbucks we serve coffee, and that's not true. We serve smiles, right? So get out there, make somebody smile today, huh? No. How disconnected do you gotta be? I mean, a lot of that shit comes down straight from corporate. They're the ones that are disconnected. If you've ever had a manager that did that with you, they were told to do it in some kind of workshop or something they had to attend. That's a strictly corporate thing where they think that the way that you build, like, because I gotta be honest with you, when you worked at a store for a while, it's like a second family. There's definitely a family like atmosphere with the long term workers. You get to know each other. You get to know each other's quirks and personalities. You've got little interpersonal conflicts that happen like in any family, but everybody's got each other's backs. Like that develops not as a result of like some cringy corporate cheer. That develops as a result of everybody feeling like that they're respected and that they are due to give that respect to everybody else. If you create an environment where people feel like they're wanted and appreciated and respected, they will confer that respect on other people. That's how you create like that little second family kind of environment. That's what it comes from. Not from some cringy team building bullshit. You can't like brute force that sort of feeling into a store. You have to establish it and maintain it on the day to day. And that was always one of the hardest things too. Is like my dad taught me. He was like, if you're gonna manage people, you cannot be their friend. You can be friendly with them. There's nothing wrong with being friendly, but the minute that you are friends with the people that you're supposed to be managing is the minute that you're not managing them anymore. And he was so fucking right about that. That was a tough thing for me. Is just like, as a manager, people would be partying and stuff after the show and shit, and I very fucking rarely would I ever go to any kind of like outside of work party thing because I was looking to like, look, like I'm fine with us being friends at work, but ultimately I'm your manager and you've got a job to do. We've all got a job to do. And if I'm going out after work every night with you and getting soused, it's going to be harder for me to impose that on you the closer we get as friends. It's going to be harder for you to resist taking advantage. No, I mean, like I said, I went to things once in a blue moon, but I was never the dude that was going out with people. Like, pretty much every night after close, there'd be a couple of people that were like, oh, yeah, let's go to my place, smoke up or whatever. Nah, I can't do it, guys. Sorry. Have fun. I had one manager that had that problem big time. I was the shift supervisor and he was the manager. And he was like, he would always schedule himself closing so that, and he was older than everybody else too. Like he was in his like mid 30s, and most of us, like I was probably the oldest person besides him, and I was in my 20s. And a lot of people were like 18, 19, 20-year-olds. He'd be out partying with them after every fucking shift. and he wondered why he had so many people calling in sick, and he was a lonely guy. Kind of a sad story, honestly. I considered him a friend. He was a really nice dude. He wasn't a bad guy for it, but he ended up accidentally killing himself. He choked on his own vomit. Got drunk at a party and just didn't wake up. That was a weird funeral to go to, for sure, because he wasn't that much older than me. But he was definitely a lonely guy, for sure. He had some problems with lines too at the store, like drawing the line. He would like flirt, not in a way. It never really came off as sexual harassment because it was usually mutual. Like when you work that closely with people, there's a lot of that shit that gets tossed around. I even had a couple of. I was married for a lot of the time I was at Starbucks, but I even had a couple of those relationships that got it. That's the hardest thing, I think. It's just like flirting and stuff, like especially when it's like good natured. That's a hard thing to like shut down. You know what I mean? Because it's fun, but you can't let that shit get out of control. And he was out of control with it, man. He was always had one of the girls there that he was just being super duper flirty with. Had one manager call his assistant manager his second wife. Yeah, I mean that that's a problem. You talk about like not being able to go into manager mode and shit. Like you develop one of these flirtatious relationships, and then you gotta fucking like lay the hammer down on something that it never goes well.
You think it'd be better if they like accepted a demotion, or could they even do that?
They were really loath to do that.
Right.
Once you'd moved up, that's one of the reasons like I held off on moving up, because I knew if I didn't like it, there really isn't a step down. Once you've established yourself in a store as like I'm the manager, they don't really want to let you. So I liked just where I was. I was at the middle management is where I like to be. I had a manager that would touch other guys. He used to massage my shoulders a lot. I basically had to imply violence to get him to stop. That sounds like a corporate call to me, bro.
Yeah.
Although, I had the same kind of thing. She wasn't a manager, though. She was beneath me. But there was a chick, no joke, her name was Bernie. Well, that wasn't, it was short for Bernice or Bernadette or something. But her nickname was Bernie. And she was just, it was like she would get a focus on a dude every month, and that dude would just get like straight out sexually harassed. And she'd do it to me, and I'd never like had something like that happen in the workplace before, so when it started happening, I didn't quite know how to deal with it right. It was just like, oh, okay, get off me. Run by and like put her arms around you, pinch your butt, and make all kinds of inappropriate comments to you and shit. And I didn't shut that down until one day she showed up unannounced at my house. Just got like a knock on my condo door, and I opened it, and there's Bernie. I was like, oh, hey, come in, I guess. Came in and just threw herself at me, basically. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, this gotta stop. Stop doing this shit. Get out. You gotta go. Like, I don't know where you got this idea, but nah. Yeah, she just showed up at my pad. Like, found my address somewhere in the paperwork and showed up at my pad with the intent of, like, I don't know, scrounging up some dick or whatever you want. I don't know what she was doing, just on a dick treasure hunt. She went home empty-handed. But I remember after she did that to me, I shut it down. She was all fucking pissy with me at work, but whatever. She was at least getting her shit done. And then she started doing it to another guy that worked there, and that was when I finally fucking shut it down, because like he came to me, and you could tell he didn't want to come to me with it. He was embarrassed, and he was just like, dude, like, what do I do about Bernie? And I was like, I know exactly what's going on. I was like, is she, whatever? He's like, yeah, dude, she just won't stop. Like, I gave her my phone number because I covered a shift for her or whatever, and like she just calls me all the time. And every time I work with her, she's just all over me, bro. I was like, this gotta stop. Was your wife there at the time that happened? It happened during a time I was single. So it happened, I had probably 8 or 9 months at Starbucks where I was well and truly single. And it happened during that. Maybe not that long. It might have been even shorter than that. But once again, like when you work in a store like that, everybody knows your business. The girl I was dating was also worked at Starbucks at a different Starbucks. And so everybody knew her. It was just one of those things. So when the breakup happens, everybody hears through the grapevine. And so that's why I think she felt like she could make the move, and I was not. Nah. Had a girl I liked. She used to hug me from behind my back. Yeah, I had one other girl in my Starbucks history, and I was married at the time that this was going on, where we developed that kind of cute little flirty relationship, and then it started to go a little too far. I had to shut it down. Hurt some feelings. She was like, I don't even know. Like, I don't want to overstate it. I think she was probably like 5'1", just tiny. Like, tiny little Mexican chick. She was cute. She was funny. And we had that, like, lighthearted, flirty kind of thing going on. And I remember one day we were closing, and she jumped up on the counter. I was wiping down a counter, and she's like jumped up on the counter and then jumped on me and wrapped her legs around me and I was like, whoa, okay, all right, okay, there you go.
Like, you're trying to fuck in the store?
I was like, we gotta have a talk.
See, all those incels need to do is get a job, and pussy's literally gonna fall in their lap.
Yeah. But I gotta be honest with you, I think that and a couple of other examples developed because I was married. That is something that is just like, it's the universal truth. If you are unavailable, it makes you more attractive to some people. Like, there are people out there that, like, that's part of the attractiveness, is that you're supposedly off the market, but I can, like, bewitch you into, no, not me. No thanks. Being mysterious is always a turn on. There's a fine line between mysterious and cringe, though. Very few people can pull off mystery. She's trying to cream your coffee up. She's trying to fucking get me to steam her milk pitcher. There's a double standard with that behavior. Oh, for sure. Yeah. In my experience, the sexual harassment that I witnessed, and let's be honest with you, sexual harassment is what it is, but not all of it is at the same level. But there was definitely an implicit thing where if the girl initiated it, if the female in the store initiated it, it was instantly way more tolerated than if the dude initiated it. So there's definitely like a hard double standard in that respect. The whole Bernie thing, like, if there was a dude walking around pinching girls' asses and wrapping his arms around their waist while they were making espresso, and calling him up and talking dirty to him and shit, that dude would have been fired. Like, Bernie just went on, like, just kept on going. just record it and secretly and send it to corporate. Well, this was before the cell phone, before the smartphone, so.
What are you gonna do? Get your Polaroid out?
Yeah, here's Bernie pinching my ass. You know, it's like, bring your camcorder in. Was she pretty? I mean, that's a subjective thing, not to me. I was not attracted to her. But that's a subjective thing. I did not find her attractive, but different strokes for different folks. I don't like rating human beings on the number scale. I've never felt right doing that. Like, she's an 8, she's a 6, she's a 10. I hate it when people rate themselves too, because people tend to rate themselves like higher.
Yeah, it's like 5's supposed to be average, but everyone thinks that like 7's average or something.
Yeah, that's one of the times that I watched. I was watching YouTube Shorts, scrolling through them, and I got an Andrew Tate one where he was on a podcast with a bunch of thoughts, and he actually did an interesting thought experiment. He was like, "I want to go around the table and have every one of you rate yourself on a 1 to 10." And he went around, and 90% of the girls were like, "Oh, I'm an 8. I'm an 8," because they think that's humble. And then he was like, at the end of it, there was only one girl that was like, I don't know, only like a 5 or a 6. One girl but the rest of them were all like, "I'm an 8, I'm 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 an 8. And he was just like a thought experiment, yeah. And he was like, "What, you guys realize what you've said? Like, if you're to be believed and you're all 8s, then you are in the top fucking 20th percentile of all women on the planet. You are some of the hottest women ever to exist, is what you've just told me." I was just like, yeah, well, that is true.
Well, I think if you're talking about like that Fresh and Fit podcast, a lot of the female guests they have on are like OnlyFans stars that are trying to.
But still,
Yeah.
like even amongst OnlyFans starlets, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna have that rating system,
Yeah.
like 8, 9, 10 is gonna be like supermodel hot, you know. But that's one of the reasons why I don't like doing it, because the numbering system is subjective, and it seems a little demeaning too, honestly.
Did you ever have the bathroom list where like the guys would rate all the chicks on how hot they were and post it in the bathroom? That happened both ways at my school. Like the girls made a list of all the guys. And the
Oh, really?
guys-
Oh, that at school?
Yeah.
I don't think that there were like lists, like
Yeah.
shit that would get passed around in class sometimes. I remember top 10 lists used to go around in class, but I never saw them posted like for public consumption. That's pretty fucking baller there. Just letting you know where you land. They think they're diamonds, but they don't understand why diamonds are valued the way they are. Well, diamonds are valued the way they are not because they're rare. Diamonds are actually pretty fucking common.
Yeah.
They're rated they're valued the way they are because of the like forced exclusivity of diamonds. So diamond's not even a great comparison. It's just, I don't know. I've never liked that.
I got ancient diamonds on my ring.
Yeah.
A second-hand ring.
It's pretty though. Doesn't
Yeah.
look like anybody else's ring. Yo, Paul, what up? Yo, Darth Swader, what up? I've been doing the show for 85 minutes and you're just now saying what up. Nope, didn't watch Super Bowl, don't care. Don't care to watch Super Bowl anymore. Now that there's not even good fucking commercials anymore, I literally, unless the Raiders are playing, I got no reason. I had no reason.
Or the Rams again. You probably enjoy the Rams again.
Yep. My family doesn't do cool Super Bowl parties anymore. There's no drinking and debauchery at the Super Bowl parties anymore, so I don't even want to go do that. Yeah, because I lost my whole family to Christianity. So they were all gone. They've all gone down the Jesus path, and so there's no more fun Super Bowl party to go to. That used to be my favorite thing about the Super Bowl. I didn't really, as a Raiders fan, you can't really care if the Raiders go if you want to enjoy the Super Bowl. My favorite thing was going over to my mom's house, getting fucking shitty wasted, eating a bunch of fucking hot links and hamburgers and hot dogs and shit. And, that was the fun part. Now that that's over, if the Raiders ain't playing, I ain't watching.
And they were bitching about the ads too.
That was the thing that killed me. Not to speak ill of my family or whatever, but it's like the year before this one, so last year, Super Bowl, Amelia and I went to my mom's house, and that's a whole Christian environment now. And I just had to sit and listen to anti-gay rhetoric, like everybody fretting over whether or not the kids should be watching this video or that. There was some commercial that had a trans person in it or a dude in drag or something, and I just remember like the whole conversation went off the rails. That's what I hate about it. I really don't care what people believe, but I hate how Christians are so open with their fucking beliefs, but will get super offended if you challenge them. Like it puts you in that awkward position of like, do I ruin the vibe and make this a political discussion, or do I just sit here and pretend not to hear all the bullshit? And I just don't I decided after that, I'm not putting myself in that position anymore. Or if I do put it in that position, it's going to be in a very limited fucking way, and I'm going to know it going in. Because, yeah, I don't want to have the argument with you. I literally think it's like a third grade fucking argument. Common humanity that's it. That person is a human being. They have every right to express themselves in whatever way that they feel fit. They're not looking down their nose at you and telling you how to dress and how to act and what you can and can't be. So why do you feel like you got to do that? And what is this bullshit about you thinking it's destructive to children to see people that literally exist in the world?
But all the beer ads are fun.
Yeah, beer ads are fine, and all the crazy action ads where people are getting blown up and shit, all that's gravy. But oh my god, if there's a dude in drag, or if there's a trans person or a lesbian person, or some company does one of these LGBTQ virtue signal ads, it's fucking lights out. You better turn the TV off or complain loudly about it or get the kids away from the TV, because all of them are going to be gay by the end of it. It's just like, man, how fucking infantile are you if you think that that's the way that it works?
It's like cooties.
Yeah.
It's like cooties level of reasoning.
And it's just garbage, man. My mom literally has a photo with her Photoshop standing next to Donald Trump among our family photos in the relationship to my parents. I mean, whatever. That's a choice you got to make. You can always count on the religious to create a false moral panic about something that no ordinary person would care about. Yeah. And I just can't. I've reached a point in my life, man, where I dealt with that shit for so fucking long. Being a closeted kid, I participated in that shit in order to fit in with people, and I'm just at a point in my life where I don't ever want to do that again. I will not go along to get along. I will excise myself from a situation, and it probably hurt my parents' feelings and shit, but I just told them. I was like, I cannot be around that shit. I can't. I actually came out to my mom, that's a big deal for me, but I just had to tell her. She just was not getting it. I was like, I'm bisexual. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's hateful. It's wrong. I wasn't made that way by a commercial. I've had those feelings since I was a wee little lad. And I can't keep my mouth shut about it. And I don't want to be the guy that's always starting fights at your fucking get-together, so I'm just not going to come to most of them. How did she react? Once I told her, once I came out, then the tone changed immediately. And it was like, well, I understand that. There was no oh, we'll stop doing it. I didn't get that. It was, oh, I understand your choice. I understand. Okay. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, thinking back to the 90s and the quote unquote toxic masculinity, which I don't really like that term much. I think it's applied as a blanket, but yeah, I guess if you wanted to call it that, like, it was automatic with me. It got to the point where it didn't even really bother me on the surface of it. Yeah, see you, Jawan. Have a good day at work. Ravenclaw, Kansas City. We are the champions. Good for you, buddy. Good for you, man. You got to be happy for people, especially like teams that don't have like a huge Super Bowl legacy, you know. Like, I may not be happy myself, but I can be happy for you. I know how that would feel to me. Last time the Raiders won a Super Bowl, I was way too young to give a shit. I think it was in like 81 or something, 82.
They put you in like a little jersey or something as a baby.
There's a picture of me as a newborn with my Uncle Dean, who passed away a couple years ago. Rip Uncle Dean. He put me in a Raiders bandana and a jersey, and put the little black things under my eyes. I was born, man. There was no way I was going to be a fan. I was indoctrinated into the Raiders, man. It wasn't even really my parents. They didn't really care about football until way later in my life. But my Uncle Dean, man, every time I was over there, it was Raiders this and Raiders that. He would get me all like the posters. I had a poster of Brian Bosworth. I think was it. Maybe that's not the guy I'm thinking of. No, it isn't. Oh, he had a mullet like Brian Bosworth did, though. Who am I thinking of? He was a Raiders offensive lineman, the big white guy with a mullet. I can't remember his name now, but I had a poster of him. Yeah, Uncle Dean was an arch conservative, man. He was the sheriff of my town when I was little, and then he retired. So a retired cop. And yeah, he was one of those dudes that the last few times that I saw him, every conversation was political. I would go. He had this like living room that was off to the side, where the only place in the house his wife would let him smoke, and so it would just be like dank with cigarette smoke in there. And he would have like every time I went over there, he would have a different he would have Sean Hannity's book, or what's that woman's name? The blonde woman.
Oh,
Ann Coulter.
Yeah.
Ann Coulter's book would be sitting there, and I just knew that like we would get through like maybe 5 minutes of pleasantries, and then it was going to be like talking immigration, or immigration was his big thing. He was one of these people, and there's a lot of people like that where I grew up. My parents are kind of that way, where they're like, the Mexicans are invading. I go downtown here in town, and I don't even see a white person. I'm the only white person down there. It's like, number one, that's not true. Number two, who cares?
I mean, I don't think the town would even function without the Mexican immigrants.
It's just like that. I would always bring that up. I would be like, okay, so we get rid of all the Mexicans. Who's picking the fruit? Well, white people can pick the fruit just as good as Mexicans. I was like, they can, but do they? Are they willing to?
The kids lining up in their Abercrombie shirts.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I drove by a fucking almond orchard and saw a bunch of Abercrombie and Fitch white kids lined up for work, you know? Hey, pay me $2 an hour to fucking clear this orchard out. I don't remember ever seeing that, bro. So who's gonna do it? Just like they would get mad when because like a store would open up and it would have like a Mexican name or something, and to them that was just like, oh, it's Mexico now. It's like something would open downtown, like La Cantina or whatever, and they'd be like, fucking can't even read shit.
But she sure shops at those stores if they got a good deal on meat, though.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, bro. But that's simmered down a lot with my parents, at least. I'm pretty sure my Uncle Dean was like that till the day he died. My parents have chilled out on I'm sure they still believe it, but they don't bring it up.
Well, they probably just go see more of them at the church they're at.
Probably. A little contact theory probably happened. Although my parents had no excuse because they worked with a rainbow coalition of people, and it was always, the hypocrisy was always rank. It's why I didn't grow up with it. Mm-hmm. It's because I would be told one thing about, oh, Mexican people are lazy. Mexican people are shifty and criminal. And then I would have friends that were Mexicans. I'd go over to their house, and it was the craziest thing. They'd be eating dinner just like we did. Dad would be coming home from work at the same time my dad would. You know, kids had bedtimes and rules in their house, you know, and it's just like, they're just, you know, the hypocrisy of it was just stark to me. You know, so it never really took hold with me. It never had a chance. Like if I had a rule as a kid, like no Mexican friends, there were times where I wouldn't have had any fucking friends, you know? No Hispanic friends. No friends, I guess. It's like, there's just no way to do that. This mentality makes me wonder if people actually think about what they believe. They attempt to not think about what they believe. That's really what it is. A lot of times these things are just rooted in stubbornness and tradition. And they will say something out of one side of their mouth. Like I saw it with my parents, worse of all. They would make these little racist comments and shit, and then later that night, a bunch of people would come over to party, and 2/3 of them were Hispanic. And they'd be chilling with them, clinking beers with them, and, you know, having a good time with them. And it's just like, I thought they were ruining everything. And when you'd ask them about it, they'd be like, oh, well, they're not one of those. You know, that's the reason why I like Manuel. You know, because he's not one of those. And I'm like, what do you mean one of those? He is one of those. You know? And those are like him. Just never made any sense. Special pleading, of course. My parents were really anti-gay, really anti-people of color, but had all these friends that were all over the rainbow. I've told the story about my parents' friend from work, Demas. Super flamboyantly gay black guy. And my mom fucking loved partying with Demas. Oh my God. When Demas came over, the party was lit. You know, but it was just like, but it's, you know, the next day I'd be hearing about, oh man, gay shit's taking over everything. Just like, wow, what? I always hear certain types trying to explain the difference between the bad ones and the good ones, which is dumb, but it happens. See, a lot of times what it would come down to, like, is them basically saying, like, well, yeah, Manuel is Hispanic, but, you know, he doesn't act Hispanic. He acts white. And I'm just like, what does that even mean? Like, let's go down the line. Manuel works the same job as you, shops at the same places, lives around the corner in the same neighborhood. How is that acting white? Isn't he just being himself? They can never explain it because there really is no explanation to it. It's all very much rooted in just a silly system of thought. People really be living amongst us just operating on like minimum settings. Yeah, pretty much. Turn the resolution down to low. The best is, oh, she came here the legal way. Yeah. They're not illegals. And it's just like, I bet their parents were. Bet you wouldn't have nothing to say about their parents. Not to their face, anyway. I don't know, man. It was one of those things. Never made any sense. My stepdad is half Mexican, but they're typically conservatives. I've found that too.
Catholic conservatives.
Yep. Especially like in the area that I grew up, Hispanic people tend conservative. And they tend to be every bit as racist as a lot of the white folks when it comes to other races. So it's definitely a problem that's goes deeper than skin color for sure.
I find there's like two types of Catholics: the lib Catholics and then the super conservative Catholics.
Lapsed Catholics.
Yeah.
People that are Catholic in name only, and then
I don't know. My grandma's like a full-on Catholic, and she's pretty liberal.
yeah, it's pretty rare. Parents vote conservative in Mexico but vote Democrat in the U.S. Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, to be fair, conservative in Mexico is pretty much Democrat in the U.S. Also, as rural as they are urban, only place you don't see too many Hispanics are the suburbs. Even then, though, I mean, where I'm from, you see just as many Hispanics in the suburbs as you do anywhere else. You're in the Midwest, well, yeah, way smaller sample size. There really isn't room for that type of racism in California anymore. Everything's sandwiched on top of each other. You're gonna have that. It's become post-racial pretty much in California. I'm sure that there are some lily white suburbs still, but harder and harder to find them, thankfully. Can't even tell if someone is Hispanic most of the time, dude. I can hear it. I've got the Hispanic ear, dude. Even people that don't necessarily traditionally look Hispanic, I can tell, dude. I can always tell. I hear that little twinge. Little turns of phrase or something. It's like a big...
I'm sure you can tell with my stepdad right away, huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Your stepdad's got like a noticeable accent that sticks straight out. If you know, you know. I'm black and people confuse me for Mexican all the time because I'm mixed, though. I mean, I'm sure it happens. If you're not around a racial subgroup a lot, I'm sure it's tougher to suss out. But
I mean, there's black Hispanics too.
yeah. I mean, your stepdad is kind of Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah.
A huevo. I don't know. I understand that from the perspective of a lifelong dyed-in-the-wool racist person, it's not as simple, but to me, the discussion is just so simple. It requires very little logic to suss out, you know. Burrito. Yeah, burrito. And one of the things back in the 90s was, I don't know if it's as popular anymore, and maybe it's gone out of vogue, but Hispanic people in the area that I grew up in would say "A" all the time. That was like their dude. Like, what are you doing, A? Almost Canadian, kind of. But it was more just the letter A and not eh.
Dude, the Canadians are invading, man.
The Canadians are taking
That's
over.
the real thing to be worried about, is
Yep.
invading Canadians.
Everybody's focused on that southern border. We need to turn that energy north, man. Them Canucks.
Yeah, look at Jordan Peterson. The worst Canuck there is.
Yep. There's tons of them coming down, man. The ones that you don't even know, like Steve Carell's a Canadian. They're just actors, especially. That's the way they're getting in. Connexicans, yeah. My older relatives always said A is a form of affirmation. Yeah. It was like, dude. And then that did turn for a while in like the mid to late 90s into B. What's going on, B? Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, Furious Pete. There's a ton of them, man. Steve Carell is a Canuck, yep. Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, yep. The list goes on and on. The list just keeps on growing. Norm Macdonald, Drake, Chris Benoit, I mean, William Shatner, Bieber. Canadian invasion, man. Get them out of here. Send them back north where they belong. Hey, Paul, it's 11:15 p.m. in the Netherlands, and I'm getting drunk. Much love to you and the Kirks. Keep being yourself. Thanks, Netherlands guy. Have fun getting drunk.
And you were able to read it, so he's not that drunk yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I would expect somebody from the Netherlands to be shit faced and be able to make sense, though. Favorite movie ever is directed by a Canadian. I know. Paul, how are you so cute? Just born that way, man. Sorry. Nothing I can do about it.
And didn't you win the little baby contest?
Mr. Petite, California, 1985. You're looking at him. You're looking at him. Drink. I am thirsty. I'll take my crazy pills too. think? You got your ball?
Give it to Mom.
Give Mom your ball. She wants to throw your ball.
He really thinks he's a kitty cat.
He does. He does. You guys had me at work all confused during the Undertaker bit. How long did it go? I think we did like 30 straight minutes of Kane. I love that bit. I think that bit is a funny kind of like wry deconstruction of the absurdity of trying to find something new to say about the stupid ass news every day. Some people don't get it, but it's just like we're so rewarded when we do it. People just go nuts over it. Even the people that are pissed off, it's like they got to hang around to see how long it goes. The whole chat goes ape shit. People start donating to say how how much it sucks, and it's just like, man, you're really not incentivizing me to stop. It's almost an in joke for people that make the kind of content that we do, because I think it comes across different as people. There's a difference between watching it and doing it. And I'm telling you, like, it is not easy to listen to the news, which honestly, it's the same fucking thing every week, bro. There might be different characters in it, maybe slightly different situations, but once you've covered the news for years and years and years and years, it's all the same shit. And so that whole thing was born of just kind of a malaise. Cover too much news and it just becomes that's how it feels, honestly. Every story feels that way to us, so it's kind of liberating to just do it. It's also a fun creative exercise, honestly. Like, not only how long can you keep it going and keep your own sanity, but how many little pockets of different shit can you think of to say about it? Like, how many different ways can you think of to cover it?
I think you guys should do it. No news, onion nuggets one of these days.
I mean, last night was pretty close.
You got in like at least 6, maybe.
Yeah.
That you actually covered in any detail.
Yeah. Kane. See the pro-Canadian Super Bowl commercial? I didn't see any Super Bowl or commercials from it.
The only one you saw was whatever Scotty put up last night.
Yeah, we watched a couple last night. I don't even remember them, honestly. My brain goes into shutdown mode when shitty commercials come on now, especially now that I don't ever have to see them. Like, commercials are a very strange, negative novelty to me. Where's your ball? Can I have your ball? Bring me your ball. Bring it. Hand it.
No, pick it up.
Yeah, I can't get it. Can't reach. There we go. Now you hand it. Get it. Get your ball. Get your ball. Doo-dah. Doo-dah. Breaking Bad one was awkward, yeah. I could just smell the fucking money on Bryan Cranston's breath. Say my name. You know he gets asked to say that fucking every fucking single day of his life when he's out grocery shopping. They had to pay him a pretty penny to get him to do that. Probably not so much the other two, but Bryan Cranston cashed a check, bro. He cashed a fat popcorn chip check on that shit. You could just smell it. He looked weird because of the bald cap and de-aging software. Yeah. What an ideal commercial be like for you? I don't think that such a thing exists. I think I would prefer commercials before they figured out like the psychological manipulation angle, because that's really the thing ultimately that turns me off about commercials, is that I feel condescended to. It's like, do you think I don't know what you're doing? Trying to create a sense of urgency around a product I don't need or want. You know, using this, that, or the other cultural reference to get me to like free associate popcorn chips with Breaking Bad. Like, do you think I'm a drooling moron? The answer is yes. We're going to treat you like an idiot. We're going to sell this product by associating it with something that you enjoy, or creating a sense of false urgency in you. Create FOMO. Like, oh, you're going to be the only one on your block that doesn't do this. Most people eat it up. I mean, if they didn't, they would stop doing it. That's a little interesting digression that I probably won't go into, but the whole like Edward Bernays inventing the kind of modern public relations, like realizing that corporations needed to have this people-focused face, and using a lot of Freud's psychoanalysis, and like, here's how you get people to react to it. You know, you don't want to just have a product that you show people what it does. You want to package that within some kind of cultural commentary to make them identify a piece of themselves with a product. And I mean, it's not even that deep of a trick, and once you see it and realize it, you see it everywhere, and you just start to feel like, you know what, fuck you, get out of my brain.
Yeah, I bet if you just had like a basic BA in psychology, you'd be set up pretty well to apply for an advertising position.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's become a psychological job. Like, you're not trying to make people aware of a product, you're trying to insinuate a product into a person's sense of themselves. And that's really where, you know, the modern advertising was born, as soon as that tenet started being applied. Prior to that, advertising was like, hey, you know, our shoes last 10 years, or hey, this hammer is, you know, the strongest hammer that you can get, and one of the cheapest too. You know, you'd get shit like that. And now it's got to be some fucking, you know, some clueless dad sitting around the house trying to hammer a nail with a wrench or something, and then somebody goes like, what you need, Dad?
Yeah, there was this one beer commercial that was super stupid. I don't know if it was a Super Bowl one or not, but like, people were drinking Bud Light and dancing to the hold music on a customer service call. It's like, what?
Dude, Bud Light is so egregious with that shit. Creating these little memes that have nothing to do with beer.
Yeah.
I remember way back in the day, they had the Budweiser frogs. One of them would say Bud, one of them would say Wise, and one of them would say Bud. Wise. Before that, they had Spuds McKenzie, who was like this Boston Terrier or something that was like the brand logo for Bud for a while. Then there was the, what was that stupid shit that everybody was saying? That was from a fucking Bud Light Super Bowl commercial. Paul, just got a notification my manager will be doing performance reviews next week. What should I do? Just do what you do, man. And like, if you're gonna get popped, you're already popped. Like that, if they're doing it next week, they already know what they're gonna say to you. So you ain't gonna change no behaviors between now and then. Just suck it up and take your lumps. Oh my God, get out of here. Get out of here with that noise. Hey, dilly dilly, Bud Knight. Yeah, oh my God, fucking kill me now. Yeah, WhatsApp should do one. WhatsApp. Surprised they didn't. Was that 50-50 asteroid supposed to pass today? We can only hope. Come on. Come on, Deep Impact. Never used WhatsApp. I haven't either. I don't know. I'm out of the loop, man. All these higgledy-piggledy things you kids are using now. I don't know what's up. All the gadgets and the gizmos. Hello from Poland. How are you, Paul? I'm good, Poland. How are you doing? Staying safe over there? A little spooky being that close to Ukraine, I assume. And Russia.
I think the Poles are used to it.
Yep. Dude, I used Snapchat for a little while, but Snapchat was the most annoying shit ever. Ever. I only used it for a very brief amount of time. To me, it was like the Let's Tease app. I used it during the very brief time that I was single after my last breakup. And there was a chick I was talking to who used Snapchat almost exclusively. And she would send like pictures, like sexy pictures, but make it to where it would disappear in 1 second. I was like, what the? I was like, oh shit. Fuck, what? No! So I got to the point where I was, because like they can tell, like it tells them when you take a picture.
Yeah.
And so she would send me one of those and then laugh in my face when she got the notification that I tried to take an image of it. I was never fast enough. Just bullshit. Like, what a fucking stupid app. Fuck you. Get out of here. I remember when I first tried to use Snapchat was years before that, and my phone literally, it just wouldn't run. Like, it would crash. It's like my phone was trying to help me out. It was like, you don't want this, man. I could not get it to run on my phone for shit. My friend's girlfriend is a 6th grade teacher. She said that TikTok has destroyed the attention span of modern kids. That's kind of like, isn't one of the struggles of being a teacher holding the attention span of a bunch of little kids whose brains are bouncing all over the place? I think that's always been the issue. It's just another, maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I underestimate the power of TikTok or whatever because I'm just not into it. But I've just seen the difference, you know. Maybe it was pre-TikTok days, but they had everything else. They had the fucking, you know, smartphones and the chat apps and the Instagrams and the Twitter and all that shit, and you could walk into a room and see kids just barely fucking hanging on attention-wise, talking, and like the teacher just going through the motions, and then I'd walk into another room and every fucking kid would be like, because they had a good teacher. They had a teacher that was able to like
find a way to make the learning interesting to the kids, find a way to fill that, fill out the gaps in attention span. So I think it's really just about like, are you a good enough teacher to present something in a way? And I think you got to change that too based on what kids are into. Like, in my opinion, especially for like elementary school, middle school teachers, you really got to know what are kids doing. And you got to be willing to incorporate that type of thing into your lesson plan. So, maybe your teacher should make a TikTok and tell the kids, like, hey, we're gonna watch. I made 5 TikToks last night about that. We're gonna watch, whatever. I know it sounds cringe, but I'm telling you, I bet the kids would pay fucking way more attention.
Yeah, I think like I've seen some history teachers do like make a meme that kind of captures the main themes of what we learned about.
Yeah, you got to be on your toes as a teacher, man, because it's always changing. What kids are into, like, you're fighting for their attention. And when I was a kid, there was all the, we had all the distractions too. We were into different shit. We had our own little meme culture going on, and our own little, we were watching these shows, and the good teachers knew how to talk about that shit. It was always novel when a teacher would, mention something about Ninja Turtles or something. I remember explicitly in probably 4th grade or something, when we were learning division, I had a teacher that did a whole Ninja Turtles presentation where we were figuring out fractions using pizzas and shit. Like, it's cringe, but I remember that lesson and no other fraction lesson, so that's I think part of being a good teacher, is being in touch to the extent that you can with what keeps kids' attention these days. And that's why I, said that the whole TikTok thing, I just don't really buy that that's what's destroying the attention spans of kids. I think it's more standardized learning that's destroying the attention spans of kids.
Yeah, unless you mean literally people having their phones in class and watching TikToks while you're teaching.
Yeah, look, that shouldn't happen anyway. The evolution of cell phones had a huge impact on the classroom as well. Yeah, and teachers, honestly, to a certain extent, should embrace it. I don't see any reason why you couldn't set up a WhatsApp group or whatever for your class, and to have them interact with it in class or whatever the fuck. There are ways around that shit. You just got to be creative as a teacher. You're vying for the attention of a bunch of little ADD kids. Anywho, I think I'm done. See you guys later. Bye.